Good drizzly Wednesday to you. Yeah, they've done quite a bit. Contractors have mostly done. Now you can see what the new vault looks like, the top of it, and they've repaired the sidewalk. It's still drying, that's why there's tape around it. And they've also further up, they've taken care of that one. But they left me with one little thing to figure out, so I'm going to do at least a little bit of exploring today. Let's head over there. And I had asked them, because they were asking me, oh, do we need to move? If we need to move plants, what should we do? This and that, various different questions. But this one sprinkler head goes underneath all their work and over to that next riser. And I said, well, let's just go ahead and abandon, or even you can pull out the piping that's in there if you want to just head this off so that it doesn't tee and go over there, but instead it's just a 90-degree and comes up. Well, I think what happened, a little bit of miscommunication. The city basically said, no, that's on their property. You can't touch the irrigation pipes. So they left it as is. So it's up to me to figure out heading it off, and either heading it off here or back there and then having to extend back again. Something I need to figure out. And so I'm going to have to do some digging here and some digging there to try and figure out, because the real question is, does it actually go underneath this cable TV vault, this little mini vault, or does it go over and around? So I'm going to dig there first and see what I find out. Well, now that was unexpected. I excavated out here, and I don't know how clear it's going to be, but that is coming in at an angle. You can see my foot here, sort of pointing towards it. So it's coming in at that angle. I thought it was going to be tied back to that one or over to that one. Instead, it's coming in at an angle, and it looks like it dives under the driveway or under the sidewalk. So not a lot I can do with this one. I guess I need to go dig up there and see how that connects in, if it's not coming straight across. Let's find out. Okay, more unexpected. This one is a T, indeed. And I mean, I can see that there's a pipe running this way. So somehow the pipe ends up over there somewhere. I'm wondering if what they did was they went around this little spot for the cable TV. And so maybe if I dig on the other side of that, I will find an elbow, a 90-degree. What is going on here? I thought I'd found something down here, but that turned out to be a root. This is on this side of, I already dug up, that's where I dug up first. This is my third hole. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do next. Divide and conquer, right? So, yeah, I had that hole. I just basically went about halfway, and I was about to give up. I dug way down, wasn't finding anything, and then I realized there was kind of a shelf there, and decided to dig back a little bit, and sure enough, it looks like there's a pipe underneath, and there's a root, or a set of roots growing on top of it, which means it's probably leaking, and that's why they're following. So it's probably a good time for us to actually be redoing part of this, because we're probably leaking and wasting water. And then there's a bit of room between the edge and that, so there's a bit of a cavity I could take advantage of to run a new pipe. So I think I need to go back over here and dig out a little bit further back and see what I find. Okay, so as I said at the beginning, it's a drizzly day. It's starting to drizzle again. All I found over here was a root, which says to me that the pipe probably runs under and then goes back that way and then over and then picks up and heads to the next Riser. Question is, I mean, if it comes in here but doesn't tee, there's something odd about that. I may have to do a little bit more digging here, but it is starting to drizzle, so I think I'm going to refill these holes, mark them with some flags, and yeah, then we'll just have to pick this up again. No, wait, there's more. I managed to free up a little more time, and after some thinking, this is zone 1 of our sprinkler system. I mean, it could be zone 8 or whatever. That's just a number. That's the one we happen to plug this zone into. But this whole section on this side of the driveway is part of that zone, controlled by one valve. And then on the other side of the driveway, we've got the lawn, and it does about half the lawn. So it occurs to me, maybe, just maybe, what's going on. This sprinkler head right here, actually, if you go back, I don't know how many videos or if I even shot it, this was originally over, let's see if I can sort of, probably about there, actually in a bit, and I wanted to get it closer to the corner. So that's a little deceiving where it is. The original is more like about here, and then there are some elbows underground that move it. And so if you take that and you go up to the garage, that's about 6 feet. And if you go from the garage, assuming everything is square, if you go from the garage over, that's about 6 feet. So what I'm wondering is if maybe that particular zone comes off at 2 points to come across the driveway. Maybe what they were doing was they're thinking if something goes wrong with one of them, we'll have a backup. And worst case scenario in the future, if this fails, I'll have a backup. But I'm going to dig around here because I want to see if maybe it's coming in this way and then shooting over that way and then doing something else. But ultimately, that's what I'm wondering. So I'm going to dig here and I'll let you know what I find. Okay, future me, sitting in the editing booth. How long has it been since I recorded the last little bit? It took me a little while to dig this hole, and the mystery deepens. It looks to me now like this does not come through from the driveway. It looks like it's actually coming from that direction. So it comes from that direction. There's an elbow and then another elbow, and then it comes up, and there is a lot of corrosion on there. So this may be a good idea to actually start figuring out how to replace all of this. But first thing I got to do is figure out where it's coming in. Good Thursday morning to you. Well, it's a new day, and while we wait for a delivery, which we don't know exactly when it's going to come, I kind of want to be out front to receive them. So let's continue on with this. We dug up there yesterday. We dug on the other end. I did refill it because it's closer to the street. I didn't want any chance of somebody tripping. So I think this is what's left. This is the next most logical place to find it coming in. Or possibly I somehow didn't see everything when I dug that one up, but I think I'm going to go after this one because I can see over here, just to recap, it looks like it's coming in from the left and then just pops out this way just to be a little bit away from the border there. So, yep, I think I just got to pull away the mulch and start digging. Well, I've been at it for over an hour, and all I've determined is that that's got a T, and it doesn't look like it's diving back under. So, I got a T there, I got a termination here, but after an elbow, so it looks like wherever it's coming from, it's either coming in the middle and going both that way and that way, or it's coming up from that first one and somehow I missed something and working its way up, or it's somewhere between here and there, which leaves me with basically having to dig up the whole thing. I think what I'll do is I'll redig this one and just try and excavate that much more, and hopefully something will be more obvious. Okay, so I've excavated out here and it appears to be as I originally assessed. There's nothing under there. Some dirt's fallen back into the hole. I started working my way back and I can't believe this has been buried in there the whole time. That's a little scary. I'm going to try and carefully pop the top off of that and see how deep it goes so I can figure out what I'm doing around here. I got to be real careful about digging now. Well, it looks like it's lined going down, so I can probably dig around the outside of it, and it looks like it just has a wire in there. Maybe that's an antenna, or maybe there used to be some sort of, I don't know. I really don't know what's going on. If you know what's going on, if you work for the gas company in your area and you have some clue why this might be in a 50-year-old tract house, yeah, let us all know. This is kind of curious. But I am going to put the cover back on and try and carefully excavate around it until I kind of figure out what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm taking a little bit of a break, but I decided to go ahead and go from here that way. I got a little nervous about the gas thing, and I just figured maybe I'll discover what I'm looking for before I get there. But at this point, I've dug up a good chunk of it. I'm right about here, and I've got some roots I'm coping with, some fairly sizable roots. It may be a little hard to see on video, but I'm trying to excavate under and around and then eventually reveal the roots and then figure out if maybe there's a connection right there that's leaking and that's why the roots chose to go that direction. But they are likely from this tree here. So I don't really want to hurt it, because when the contractors were here, they told me they had to cut a root to do that whole thing over there. So yeah, we'll see. Well, I thought I was getting closer. I dug down there. It's a little hard to see, and now my shadow's going to get in there, but there's pipe. Goes under these roots, which I thought might possibly be more pipe. Then it keeps going. It's a little hard to see at this point because I haven't really cleared it, but it looks like it just keeps going. So I got that little bit left that I gotta dig. Good Friday morning to you. Well, I got started without you. I went ahead and dug, and I should say I have a bet with my sister. She thinks that the water supply is going to come through right about here, somewhere in that general area. And I mean, I'll give her a couple of blocks worth of, it's basically somewhere between that head and that head, pretty much lined up with the palm there. And well, I wasn't sure if it was going to come under here or over there. What I can tell you, it looks like I finally figured out where it dives over and goes that way. So I got that handled. Ended up revealing that much more of the gas thing, whatever that is. And those are just roots over there. I took a magnet and verified that is indeed a pipe, not a root. I've been fooled by that a few times on this, especially right in that area. I kept thinking, oh, maybe there it is. Nope, 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 nope. Just a big root. So that's where I am, and I'm going to pick up and start going that way, I guess. Yeah, I don't think it really matters which direction I start from. I need to clear some of that mulch and get going. Found it. Turns out it's right there. It's a little hard to see because it's so corroded, but there's a T. Then it comes over here and comes up, and then it goes over that way and keeps going. So now I just need to excavate out the rest of it and figure out how I'm going to deal with this. Okay, I've done a bit more digging, and I think I kind of have a game plan now, because I'm realizing how hard it's going to be to try and do anything with that connection down there. I think I need to abandon it wholesale, and it wouldn't make sense to try and do anything here. So I stepped off, and I could see that this connection here was 6 feet off the garage. So I go to the other side, to that corner of the garage, and go 6 feet. I've got a sprinkler head there. And as I recall, this was pretty complicated when I redid it. There's a bunch of elbows in there just to try and achieve the level that I wanted. I wanted to have a pop-up sprinkler in there. The minimum was like a 2-inch pop-up sprinkler, which is I think what I've got in there. But if I had just gone with 90s coming up from what was there, it was going to end up sticking way up because it's just real close to the surface. But there was also just a lot of piping in there, and I'll bet you there's a connection there that shoots across the driveway. And what I can probably do is dig this up and figure out how to cap that off. That means there's no water coming into the system on this end, but we still have this one over here. We still have a pipe under the driveway which could rust and leak and cause problems, but I don't feel like trying to figure out how to channel the driveway to put in a new pipe. So I think we'll use the existing pipe. I'll just 90 off of that and run up that way. That'll give me a line that I can tap off of going up the bed. I haven't figured out how many, but I'll put so many risers in there, and then those risers can lead to manifolds which can then run 1/4-inch tubing, or they can be 90'd again into the 1/2-inch flexible tubing and then run back into the bed wherever it needs to go. So it's a starting point. That means I need to finish digging this. I need to decide if I want to dig along this edge, if that's going to provide me any advantage. And then I've got to figure out my overall plan and go get the materials. But I'm going to finish digging, we'll come back, and then I think we'll wrap up this portion of this video. Okay, there was one more thing for me to chew on with this whole sprinkler project. When I was explaining to somebody what I was doing, because people kept asking why I was digging, somebody suggested maybe, just maybe, after it dives over to the right, maybe it's just far enough under the slab there that I just can't see it, but there would be another 90-degree picking up that last riser, and that actually kind of makes more sense. I mean, logically it makes more sense than running 2 lines across the driveway. So that means that if that's the case, and I just dug down there and used a magnet, because I'm totally blind under there. I stuck a magnet up under there, and I managed to actually get it to stick to something. So I think there actually is a pipe continuing on and then somehow coming back. Maybe they realized they were a little bit off track, and that's why it comes up at that weird angle. So if that's the case and there's no second line running across, that means that we really are coming across right about there, something like that. So that's not too far away from that first sprinkler head, and so that's what I'm kind of thinking. Unfortunately, what I may end up doing is just capping all but this last sprinkler head right here, and taking that one and putting an elbow and running back across, going that way with a new line. That means every time the sprinklers come on, we're charging a potentially leaky line, but it gives me more control over the actual design. And worst case scenario, I suppose, If I have to abandon the line from the other corner, what I can do is come from, let me get stuff out of the way, come from, it's a little confusing because I moved some lights, come from right here, from this sprinkler head, come over, and then somehow come down the wall, either digging or whatever. Worst case scenario, if we get a really bad leak in that line, I can tap back into the other, and it buys me time to figure out some other way to deal with it. But after all that digging, I now have a place where I can lay a new pipe, set up new risers, and figure out how I'm going to do the whole design. So that should be it for today for that. I've got to do a lot of thinking and figure out what my game plan is and try and execute it in the next couple of days.